Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ankesh. On behalf of Cambridge University Press and Assessment, I welcome you all to today's session in Maths Masterclass. Today's topic is Art and Maths Integration. Uh, Before we move ahead with the session, few instructions regarding this particular session. This session is currently on a webinar mode. That means your access to camera and microphones are disabled. In case you want to interact during the course of the session, you can use the chat option. There is also a question and answer tab available where you can post the questions throughout the session. Me and my colleague Vandana would be monitoring the entire questions and interaction during the entire session, and we'll be posting it back to the trainer in the Q&A session. This due to overwhelming response in this particular maths masterclass, we are running short of the space in Zoom platform. Basically, in case you are unable to view the session on Zoom or unable to join the session on Zoom, please visit our Facebook social channel wherein the live streaming of this particular webinar is happening. In case you have any colleagues who are facing some trouble, you can share the social media link with them so that they can join there. The social media links are posted in the chat. We have freezed the chat as of now so that you can actually make a note of the Facebook channel. That's it. We'll wait for another 30 seconds and then we'll start. This is basically the second session of our Maths Masterclass. There are total five sessions. It's a series of 5 webinars. So today we are on the second session. This would happen on every Thursday. The last Thursday is 22nd June, where the webinar would end. Okay. So let me take the privilege to introduce our trainer for today, Ms. Monica Kocher. Ms. Monica Kocher is a maths magician. She has given numbers a heart and abstract concept a ground to stand upon. She has taken sting out of mathematics learning. She is like a doctor who cures maths phobia. Her approaches to maths makes maths not only interesting but more human. She believes maths is not about just acquiring skills or playing with numbers, but it's a journey that makes you a more rounded person. As per her, maths, when combined with poetry, becomes a red-blooded poem, a splash of color, a game that is played on a sports ground. She has applied these concepts successfully in a long and colorful teaching career, spanning CBSE, ICSE, and IGC schools. She has also worked successfully with leading clients for over a decade as a solopreneur, winning titles such as LinkedIn Education Voice of the Year and Global Influencer in Education. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Monica Kocher. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Cambridge University Press, and thank you to all the teachers who are logged in today. This is in my entire teaching and training career, this is by far one of my favorite topics when you integrate art and math. And very glad to see the whole wave, the way it has now spread all over India. A lot of us have been working on it for a couple of decades. When you integrate art and math, that is when the right brain and the left brain come together. And absolutely, there is no way fear of math stays and math mastery is absolutely possible, because art is something which helps get over the fear of math, and therefore it brings children to math. And then when the teachers take math to children, it becomes easy because the entire block that is there in the mind of the children due to the fears which have been there for various reasons is dissolved with the help of art. And so if we look at the flow of the session would be in a way the what, why, how, when. These are the questions that I will be taking. So starting with what do we actually mean when we say integrate art in math? Does it just mean the children draw? How is art and math even connected? And we have a beautiful answer given here in the latest NEP. If If we take art and we take a concept of math and we combine, that is an art integrated class. So as NEP says very beautifully, art integration is a cross-curricular pedagogical approach. It creates joyful classrooms, and it is a great way of imbibing the Indian ethos in the classroom, because there is a lot in Indian culture which is very, very mathematical, as we will see today. It also makes learning very experiential, and it brings children closer to their own culture. So what is art integrated learning? It's a constructivist learning approach, which means the children are involved in exploring mathematics through art. Constructivist approach is put very simply, where you create a very learning experiential space. Children come there and knowledge is constructed in their minds instead of being poured over by the teacher. That's as simple as I can make it. There are many deep, complex definitions which are given by experts, but constructivist, put very simply, comes from the word construct. So art, when we say, it means an inclusion of dance, drama, music, and visual arts to teach math. So I'm going to be taking all the four one after the other. This is a very video heavy presentation because I felt instead of talking about it, it's better to show you a glimpse of the classroom. And I have taken classrooms from everywhere just to show that this is doable, whether it's a government school, it's a private school, it's a school in another country. Everybody, wherever teachers are being creative, they are using dance, drama, music, visual arts to teach for many, many decades. The question is, why is it so deeply embroiled in education in all progressive spaces? And why is NEP giving it such a lot of importance? And one of the reasons, as I gave, is that it brings right brain in the maths classes, which is predominantly left brain logical space. So children who are not very inclined towards maths are generally children who are on the creative side. So they are right brain dominated kids. So the moment strategies come in the classroom from that side, those children also get interested in learning. So there is a joy of learning. Kids are active because they are doing something. It involves creativity, as I just explained. There is a lot of innovation, as you will see in the examples that I give. Maths trauma, which is real, which is now accepted by psychologists. And it has been a space where some of us have done in-depth work, because we have actually seen kids, and I'm sure experienced teachers in this group would have seen kids getting into tears because of math. Maths trauma is removed the moment art integration happens. And actually, it's very easy to apply. It doesn't really require a lot of work. Which art forms do we use? As I've already given, the 4 art forms by NEP: dance, drama, visual arts, music, all the 4 can be used. In this session, although I can't hear you, I can't see you, but please use the chat box, because I'm going to be pausing every time this blue screen comes after every art form. And if there are questions, my good friends here, Ankesh and Vandana, they will be informing me whether there is something that, there is a question that requires an answer. So for example, this is a pause, the blue screen. Vandana, if there's any question, please let me know at this point.
Ma'am, no questions as of now.
Okay. So let's move on. Let's see how dance has been integrated in the classes. So this is a small school in Patiala where we worked. This is a school where the teachers said that the kids just hate learning tables. that they just don't want to learn tables. They don't want to do anything to have a table. So we brought in very simple body movements, not technically a dance, but we asked the kids to create any steps that they liked. And we said that, okay, do tables with that. And the feedback I got after a couple of months was that the kids come every day to school and they say, let's do tables. So just a very short clip here. So this is how the kids created different movements in different classes. They changed the movements, they kept the same. What they did was they did tables along with the dance. Some created very complex formations, some very simple. And this is what we discovered, that actually dance is a great way to do anything to do with numbers. And here a small disclaimer. These videos and photographs are all used with permission from the school principal. And these are also very old. So by now, these kids, all the pictures and videos, the kids are definitely over 18 by now. So they are adults. So this was from a private school in Patiala. Now, if we go for what kind of projects are possible, I would say in primary. And here I'm going to ask you to, kind of notice what is it that this particular child is displaying. Take any math topic and ask the kids to showcase it using a dance movement. It can be plus, it can be minus. For example, in here, I'm going to ask teachers, what math topic do you think this child is displaying? What could it be? The child in red on top. And here I'll need help from Vandana or Ankesh if the teachers are responding.
Ma'am, there's a response multiplication.
Yeah.
The response that we are getting.
Multiplication. What about something from geometry?
Teaching intersecting line. Yes.
Intersecting lines, opposite angles. So this child is displaying. If you see the body movement of every child, something or the other is displayed, either obtuse angle, parallel lines, two. So any topic. And what I would say here is, and teachers who are experienced with this would know, is that you don't really have to do anything. You just have to tell the kids that, show me this using a dance movement. And that's it. I mean, the kids are so creative, they would be able to do that. In middle school, just a sec, there is this, my PPT is getting stuck. In middle school, and this is where NEP really displays what can be done. In middle school, if you wish to, this is just one of the examples, that take any of the Indian classical dance forms or folk dance forms. The folk dance form I'll show in the next slide. If you take any classical dance form and ask the kids to research, as you can see from the Guruji over here, who is in a Bharatnatyam posture, if you convert it into geometry, whenever any dance teacher or an experienced dancer is showing a perfect posture, behind that there is perfect geometry. It's always there. So one of the things kids can do is to research and then present it. And one of the most beautiful ways of project presentation is, let the kids decide how they want to present it. They can present it by giving a demonstration if they are dancers. If they are artists, they can draw and present. They can present it by creating a video. They can present it by creating a PPT. But if the kids see, why is that Indian dance form is so perfect? It's because there is perfection of geometry behind it. So this is something which middle school kids would probably enjoy. And now The other thing we can bring in the classroom is folk dance. Just watch how they are dancing here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The Angami tribe is one of the major tribes of Nagaland. Kohima is inhabited by a major population of the
Here I would want to ask the teachers, what are you noticing? Please put it in the chat box, and when I pause, then we can have Ankesh or Vandana tell us what is it that you're observing. What math can you observe here?
Angamis. Sekrini, which falls in the month of February, is a 10-day festival celebrated by Angamis, which also marks the beginning of the lunar year.
And it goes on like this. Is anyone writing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Pattern lines, symmetry, patterns, skipping,
Patterns,
counting.
skipping, absolutely. So last to last year, this is Angami tribe in Nagaland. If you have visited, you'll see Nagaland is actually cut into districts and there are tribes which are leaders. And we had gone 2 years ago. And in one of the spaces where we were with the Angami tribes, and they presented a dance for us and we joined them. And we actually found when we were dancing with them, it may look like they are just repeating the same step again and again. But when you actually do it with them, you realize after a while, the entire patterned way of dancing was so soothing that after the big trek we had done, our tiredness went away. We were focused. So there is a purpose behind having these dances, which are generally done by people after they finish their work in their farms or they're hunting and they come back home, and in the evening, it's very relaxing. Patterns are very relaxing to do. So if you ask the kids, can you maybe look up folk dances in India from any state? Maybe localize the culture, whichever state you are from, whether from Punjab or Bihar or Kerala or Nagaland or Gujarat, look up what is the folk dance. Every folk dance will have a pattern. It will have skip counting. It will have geometrical formations. And then they can come and demonstrate that again by making a video, by making a collage of pictures, or the best way is by coming and showcasing. So what is happening here is that you have math, you have an art form, and you have Indian ethos connected with it. If you have kids from multiple parts of the world, if you're from the international school or any other place which is a global institution, let's a kid bring something from the culture that they are from. For example, in the IB school where I worked in, there were a lot of kids from Spain. So we had Mardi Gras, the festival from Spain there, and they would come and they would actually teach us their dance. So this is the beauty of bringing dance in the class. Questions? Any questions on integration of dance and maths before we move to drama? Questions or comments? Has anyone tried it? Do you have anything like, okay, I tried this? Is there any dance that anyone knows that this is fantastic to integrate in math? Please feel free to share and the team will share it with everyone. Is there anything, Ankesh?
Ma'am, yoga poses for types of angle.
Absolutely, amazing.
Cow dance.
Yeah.
Transformation through dance.
Transformation through dance. Yeah, that's amazing. I think whoever has done it, hats off to you, sir or ma'am. Yeah. Any other idea for any particular topic?
There's a question. If the students are not interested in dance, how do we engage them?
Amazing question. So this is where the approach called differentiation comes, which is respecting differences. If there are some kids who are not interested in dancing, the way I showed you the times table, they can do a bit of body movement. They can also do drawing. Instead of dancing, they can draw and show how dance is integrated. Everybody is not ready to do everything. That is why any project, when presentation comes, use differentiation, respect differences. Ask the kids, okay, if you don't want to dance, demonstrate your knowledge through any other way. For example, right now I am here, I'm demonstrating to you this knowledge via a webinar. So all the kids are interested in something or the other. Somebody may say, I like technology. Can I create a small website and show you? Somebody else may say, can I create a PowerPoint? Somebody may say, can I draw on a chart paper? And one of my student groups, and these projects are generally done in groups, one of my student groups, they were fascinated by photography. So they clicked pictures and created a flip book. So allow the children to use their medium to present. That way, learning becomes even more personalized. But great question.
Ma'am,
Any other?
there's one more question. Can we use dance in senior mathematics, as in senior classes?
I think if you can use it, it will be really fantastic. You must till grade 12. And there is no reason why senior classes should not be pepped up with dance and music. It may take a little bit of a time, but the interest in math with which the kids will come back with will make it worth it. Secondly, it can also be done in a small way. It need not be a project. It can be take 2 minutes and show me like terms, unlike terms, or take just 1.5 minutes and do a demonstration to showcase what a 3D geometry is like. So it need not be a very elaborate project. It can also be just a 2-minute exercise and can go as a formative assessment or just as a fun class. But yes, I've seen teachers who do these projects till grade 12, and it creates a lot of buzz for the kids in the class.
Ma'am, we have one more question. Kindly give any example to integrate maths and art for senior secondary level.
Okay, so art, are you talking about visual arts? Then I'm coming to that later. And you will see that example in drama for the senior classes. So I'll move on. And this is from a government classroom, senior class. So I'll let the video run a little longer and you can see how questions in mensuration are converted into a role play. This is a great website to go to anytime for ideas.
In this secondary maths class, the teacher asks his students to perform role plays that show how the maths they have learnt relates to everyday life. The class are consolidating what they have learnt previously about surface area and the volume of solid shapes.
जो ग्रुप्स हैं हमारे पास में कुछ एक इन्होंने अपना लघु नाटिकाओं के द्वारा इन चीज़ों को दर्शाने की कोशिश की है। ग्रुप 1 जो आपके सामने है, इन्होंने एक नाटिका
The teacher asks Group 1 to start the lesson by presenting their play to show the relationship between the volume of a cone and a cylinder.
आप आएँ और अपनी लघु नाटिका प्रस्तुत करेंगे, ठीक है?
Imaginatively, the students use a family dispute to illustrate the idea.
ये ऐसे हमेशा लड़ा करते हैं, तो आप ऐसा कुछ बताइए कि इन तीनों को इसमें जो भी है बराबर बराबर मिल जाए।
रुकिए भैया, अभी मैं आती हूँ। ये लीजिए भैया, इन तीनों को इनसे बांट के देखिए।
ये लो तुम।
देखो भैया, अब ये खाली हो गया।
लेकिन बुआ जी आपने ऐसा क्या किया जो तीनों लोग को बराबर मिल गया?
एक ऐसा शंकु बनाओ, शंकु का आधार बेलन के आधार के बराबर हो और शंकु की ऊंचाई बेलन की ऊंचाई के बराबर हो। अब कभी भी ऐसे लड़ना नहीं, कोई भी चीज़ चाहिए तो यही टेक्निक अपना लेना।
जी बुआ जी।
This teacher has confidence in his students and trusts them, so he stands at the back of the class to watch the role plays.
बच्चों ने एक समूह में नाटिका प्रस्तुत की, छोटी सी जिससे
The
हमें
teacher
ये
explains that
समझाया
Group 1 has shown the
कि
volume of
शंकु
a
का
cone
आयतन
to
बेलन
be
के
1/3
आयतन
that of a
का
cylinder.
1/3।
So this is just one example to show how this particular teacher has given the students complete freedom. So the teacher has just given them complete freedom to showcase that volume, the relationship between volume of cylinder and volume of cone. Are there any thoughts or comments here? Otherwise, I'll move on. The video is too long and it's available on YouTube, so you can have a look. Are there any comments, Ankesh? Otherwise, I'll move on.
Not really a question. That's a really good idea. That's the appreciation we are getting on the chat.
Yeah, and this particular website gives a lot of work which is happening in nooks and corners, and even I've gone training in nooks and corners of India, and believe me, it's incredible the work that the teachers are doing over there in the classroom, and the kids are absolutely loving them. So this is one example. So to suggest implementation, so drama here, this was a beautiful implementation by the teacher where he took a regular concept and a classroom and he did that. Drama can also be implemented, as NEP says, as a cross-curricular mega project. So I'm showing you a kind of a collage of pictures which we had done when I was teaching in the IB school, where I worked with the English teacher and the drama teacher to do that. And this is a very simple way. The teacher's way is also very simple. You take a word problem or you take a concept and present it. This is another way that I'd like you to have a look, where few teachers come together and create a completely cross-curricular project. So pick a story with math. Unlimited stories are available on internet. So this is a story where, let's say, they had to find the measure of the sofa. They don't know how to do it. And therefore, what is it? The family worked together to do it. So a story which should have math. Generally, mensuration and percentages are two topics where stories are very easily available. Then the English teacher stepped in once I handed the story, and the English teacher taught the kids, how do you write a script? And the kids wrote the script. Of course, there's no way of figuring out what they have written. This is kids' work. So they wrote a script, they converted. Then the drama teacher walked in. The kids presented the drama. After their script was over, they practiced, and then they presented. The drama teacher walked in, and at the end of the drama, the kids asked questions of the audience. The audience was the drama class, which is sitting over here. And those math questions were asked from the audience, and then the drama teacher assessed them on drama. So there was a rubric. The rubric was English teacher assessed them on how good the script was. Drama teacher assessed them on how good the drama was. And maths teacher assessed them on how good were the questions and was the audience able to answer the questions? Was your drama presented so well that the audience were able to capture the essence of math into it and answer the questions? So this is another way. So the previous way is a simple, everyday concepts can be converted into drama. This is like a mega project which happens once in a year where few teachers come together and present it. This is what is a completely cross-curricular project. So this is drama, and the cross-curricular project is grade agnostic. So is the other teachers' method. I think from grade 1 to grade 12, this can be practiced. Any questions or thoughts or comments on drama?
Not as of now, ma'am.
Okay. And just to tell the teachers, at the end of this, I will be in every webinar, I am handing out a document to the teachers. So at the end of it, I will hand out a document to you, which has about 6-7 ideas that can be used in classrooms based on all the 4 arts. So let's move to music and math, which is by and large very easy to practice. And now I'm bringing to you a classroom from, I think it's a US classroom, and this is senior kids who are going to show you how they brought in music.
It's a recording studio, people. Bit of respect.
Stop if there's more than one operation. Wait before you do the calculation. You do the brackets first. Orders come after that. Divide or multiply. Then you add or subtract. Brackets are parentheses. Orders are indices. Divide is share, times is multiply. Add is plus and subtract is take away. You do the brackets first. Orders come after that. Divide or multiply. Then you add or subtract. You do the brackets first. Orders come after that.
So this was the BODMAS song from, I think, an American classroom. This also reminds me of when I was teaching in ICSE, and if you, those teachers who teach grades 9 and 10, they know that at least a decade ago, there were tons and tons of theorems which the kids had to learn. And in grade 10, everything comes together along with circles. And the children were finding it very difficult to remember all these theorems. And especially there was one girl I still remember who had severe dyslexia. So she found it very difficult to even know so many words. So what she did was she was a brilliant music player. So she brought her guitar, she turned every theorem into a song, and she set it to music and she played it using her guitar. And even in the tests and exams, she used to softly hum to herself the song. And it was so incredibly beautiful for the rest of us to watch the way she managed to breeze through all the theorems. So that's the beauty of music. Another example of singing is here, where kids in my classes, they found it difficult to remember minus into minus is plus, minus into plus is minus. So I asked all of them. Now, the only role of the teacher here is to give correct instructions. Like, I am not a singer or a poet, but the kids have all the creativity. So I have confidence in them. So I said, okay, here is a concept which is tough. Would you like to turn it into a song? And let's have a singing project. It's a formative assessment. It has a rubric. So the kids turned it into a song and they sang. Some sang, like, I think the BODMAS kids group was really, really amazing with their dance movements. But here some children just turned it into an audio. Some wrote on a paper and submitted it. So that's one way of bringing music. Another way of bringing music is bring music teachers in your classes, especially tabla teacher. Tabla is rhythm. Tabla is also on completely patterns of numbers, the way the tabla movements go. If you bring a tabla teacher or you bring a guitar teacher, guitar runs on fractions, and ask them to give a demonstration to the children and also talk about how math is engaged in it. If there is a child who is learning tabla, music integration can be shown very beautifully along with bringing in the Indian culture. So this is the way music can be brought in. Music can be brought in using musical instruments. Music can be brought in using songs, which for younger children, thousands of songs are available on the internet. Teachers can just get them from YouTube, take them to a class, everybody sings, and everybody can also move with the music. I have seen primary teachers in a school in Delhi where their day starts by singing based on some other concept. Or you can have kids, middle school and high school, kids write the song. In fact, any topic that say this is very difficult to learn. Okay, why don't you write on it something and let's sing it? That can also be done. So this is music. Questions or comments, or I would be really happy if you can also share thoughts if anyone has tried some things in classes. If you can just very briefly share, okay, I tried this with this concept, it worked wonders, it will be really great.
Therefore, comments that few 11 and 12 grade students use music and rhythm to learn mathematics.
Yeah.
And number of on YouTube has also many good things. Coins, songs for currency.
Yeah. It'll be great if you teachers can share, because you can share like ideas with each other as to how do you do it. Any other, or shall we move on?
Tabla beats for counting 7, 2D shapes, 3D shapes, music work, remember right, left for primary classes.
Yeah, for primary, it's amazing having music. I think till grade 6, it's really amazing to integrate music in maths.
That's it, ma'am.
Okay. So final one is visual arts. And I'll just show here, because visual arts is so diverse that I just took lots of pictures of projects from classes, my classes, other teachers' classes, and put it together to show how visual arts can be used across the grades in math in a very simple way and in a very complex way. And then I'll show you a kind of a pattern by which you can use it. So this is a question is given to the children, and they've been asked to first solve it using pictures and then solve it. And they were just told to use any colors that they want. Try and see which concept is being integrated with visual arts as you go along. This is the number line and then the number line game. Senior classes. Journal writing. So this is integration of arts, and one of the questions which kind of always asked is, why should students' notebooks, as you saw some of the students' notebooks were so colorful, why should a maths notebook be black and white or blue and white? Why can't we get kids to have some colors in their pencil boxes, and anytime they want to, they can explain a question using some kind of a colorful drawing. I am reminded of a girl who, we were in a very progressive, innovative school, and we had bought some very expensive books and photocopied and handed to the kids. And she said, can I color it first myself? And she was frightened of math. So we said, yeah, that's perfectly okay. And she spent 2-3 days just coloring everything. And that whole act of coloring it brought her out of so much of tension related to math that she started working. And after a while, she started working on her own. And after a while, she said, I'm not afraid of math. It's just a question we need to ask, that why should our notebooks not have colors? Why is it a teacher has to use only a red pen for the schools which have made it mandatory? Why can't we have multiple bubbles of colors in a notebook? So it's not necessarily that we have to have a really major mega project. We can also simply have a word problem which the children solve by first drawing something using their favorite colors and then solving it. So this is colors. Now here I'm pausing. So for suggestions for implementation, I think visual arts can be used in maths classes across the grades. So here geometry is a great space for it, because geometry starts with point, then it goes to line, then it goes to 2D shapes, and then it goes to 3D shapes, and then it merges with algebra and becomes coordinate geometry. So I would say implement it when you're doing a point by maybe asking kids to make small points. These are still a little big, but can be small with rough paper, and create a design out of it. When it is a line, create something which is only using lines, or like create a street design where I can see all the angles, or I can see all the types of lines. So that's a project they do when they are doing lines. And all of these will have a rubric, and the rubric will have how is the art and how is the math. Then when they do 2D shapes, from India, one of the most beautiful ideas is Rangoli. And they can create a Rangoli based on design. They pick their shapes, they use the dots. And this is from a school where the kids had a Rangoli competition between different houses. So 2D shapes can be, what kind of a design can you make using various 2D shapes that you are studying about? That is one possible project. And 3D shapes is, they actually design the 3D shapes and they put some or other design on every face of it. And these kids decided to come and introduce each of the 3D shape. One of them was wearing it on his head, and then they presented this. This was their presentation of the project. So this is just one suggestion to take the continuum of point, line, 2D shapes, 3D shapes, and maybe take it ahead when you do coordinate geometry and say, there are some of the equations which give out very beautiful shapes when you plot them on a graph, and take it forward and then let the kids choose the colors that they want to use, and then decorate the work that they have done. So this is visual art. Any question here for visual art? Or any comment, any suggestion, any idea?
There are like someone from Chhattisgarh mentioned that we did Godna art from Chhattisgarh, where different complicated patterns can be used. We made lanterns out of net and various shapes.
That's
the
amazing.
Mosaic of the tiles can be a pattern. Importance of crystallization of concepts. Simple activity to use in class 1 and 2. We ask students to make beautiful picture using plain shapes.
Yeah. Amazing. And I'm very happy the Godna design was shared, because in India has something like Madhubani art. Then there is also Varli. Varli only uses triangle and small line segments and circles, and huge designs are created on walls using it. So that's the embedding of Indian culture. Thank you for sharing that. I just remembered about Varli. Is there anything more, Ankesh, that anyone has shared?
Drawing house and animals with shapes.
Yeah.
With paper folding, various shapes can be created by students. That's an origami sheet activity that we used to do.
Yeah. That's amazing. Art can be integrated throughout. It's like every day something artistic can be done by the kids in the class. Any question, anyone? Especially for senior classes?
Ma'am, there are questions, but not related to this topic, which we have parked for the question and answer session. So
Okay,
we'll
in
take
the
it there.
end.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we'll leave about 10 minutes for that. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, whenever we have a project, how do we ensure quality work? And here, if Vandana is around, if she can send this document for the teachers in the chat box. So here is a project that teachers can try out with the students. Have the teachers got it, Mukesh?
Yes, ma'am. That is posted on the chat, and I've freeze the chat for a moment so that everybody can make a note of it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mukesh, for your help. So when we ensure good art-based projects, everything depends on the instructions given to the students. So if a child is not able to do what we are asking, the problem is our instructions. That's the principle on which we should work. And best thing would be to have some very clear steps, put them on a paper. If you have access to printouts, put them on the board, or send it to them on email, or create a poster on a single chart and put it on the wall if you want to save paper. But everything on a project depends on the instructions given by us, the adults. So here I'm giving a small task. I'm going to go to the next screen. Teachers, pick any of the projects over here, and then I'll show you the steps which you should take to design a good project sheet, 9 steps. And again, like I said, the project sheet can be pasted on the wall. The steps can be written on the board. They can be emailed, or printouts can be given. So teachers, pick any project and go step by step as I'm asking you, and then put your answers in the chat box. So sorry that I can't see you or hear you, but at least there is some online interaction. I think the first thing in any project, there should be a very catchy title. So take any project, doesn't matter which one. Let's see what kind of catchy titles you can share with us. And Ankesh, will be needing your help again to tell us what the teachers are writing. First thing is a catchy title. Let's read 3 to 4 if that's okay.
Yeah, ma'am. My house.
Okay.
Multiples and multiply for shapes. I am in shape. Angle, triangle. Nice. Okay. So, okay. Amazing addition. Okay. Awesome angles.
Let's try and be a little more creative. Awesome angles is good.
Joyful learning. Rock and roll for addition.
Rock and roll for addition. That's amazing.
Round the world shapes. My dog numerator.
Something catchy, something that makes people stop and say, okay, what is it that we are
Zero
doing?
is a hero.
Yeah, very nice. Zero.
Garden of angles. What's cooking? Matho art. Zumba with numbers. Arithmetic.
Yeah.
Take off ascending. Go fun and maths. B for butterfly.
Got it.
House of numbers.
Thank you. Okay, next thing is, have a 1 or 2 line description. The description should be a combination of the art and the math. So for example, here we are going to design a card for someone you love using fractions. So I am talking about the card and I'm talking about the concept. So, or the fraction garden or the number garden can be, let's design a garden using numbers. Let's do some Zumba with numbers. So can we have, Ankesh, if we have time, two, three description, keep it really short, maximum 2 sentences, and connect your art and your concept with it.
Have a pizza with fraction.
Yes. Design a pizza with fraction or have a pizza with fraction. So connected art form and the math. It can also be reversed. Let's use, let's take shapes and make a city. So it can be math and the art, or it can be the art and the math.
Who has the big room? Draw a portion of cake in a proportion.
Yeah.
Clap with numbers. Make a cape while playing ratio. Zumba and rock and roll with multiplication.
Yeah. So description would be, we will be doing this. So description would be slightly long. So like, let's say if you say Zumba and with numbers, you say here in this project, we'll be doing Zumba along with numbers. So it goes in a full sentence.
Positive and negative numbers for life under C and above C.
Great.
Make animal faces using fractional sectors of circle.
Amazing. Yeah, I think the idea is clear. Thanks. Thanks, teachers who are writing, and thanks, Ankesh. Third thing is generally, and here we don't need ideas, but generally set the time limit. Students like it when there's a very clear boundary given to them. So, okay, this project is for class or for home, but here is the time limit. This is for 10 minutes, this is for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and set a time limit. Then explain very clearly what the material required is. By and large, unless it's a school where a lot of material is available, but even then, try and be creative and keep it things which are readily available, which kids may have in their house, maybe rough paper, maybe newspaper, maybe nothing. If it's Zumba with numbers, maybe nothing. Except a phone to record yourself when you are dancing or record yourself when you're singing. So what is the material required should be given very clearly. Otherwise, you know, kids will keep running to you and asking you, should I use a white chart paper or a pink chart paper? So specify very clearly there. Let's say chart paper, any color. We need to build in the children the competency of listening to directions and going and doing the task, and drop the habit of running to the teacher and ask, what am I expected to do here? So clarity on your project sheet is required for that. Instructions for parents, especially for younger and middle school kids, or let's say if it's a project which requires a web research, that go on internet and search for Indian classical dances, then some instructions for parents, include them, especially if this is a project which you're going to create for kids to do at home. Let's include the family. So for younger kids, of course, anything which requires cutting, please help your children in cutting. Please help your kids in ensuring that internet is available. Your children may need help in designing. And if there is nothing where parents are needed, then it can just be, please join your kids and please help your kids, or please do not help your kids, just observe them, but somewhere include parents in it. That's one important step. Sixth is the step, if this is not okay, the project will flop. What do the kids have to do? So keep it very short. Cut a paper this size. Step 2, fold the paper into this. Step 3, you can have more steps, but each should have one idea. What is it that they're expected to do? A suggestion which some of us have tried and it worked wonders is, before anything goes to the kids, test it out with a colleague or anyone in your house, especially someone who doesn't have anything to do with math. Ask that person, when you read these steps, are you able to understand what to do? And ask maybe 2-3 people in the house itself or at school, and then only send it to the students. 7 is where one of the teachers had asked, what if the children don't like to dance? have differentiation in submission mode. Let's say I'm quite taken up with Zumba with numbers, or Zumba and rock and roll. Let's say the project is Zumba with numbers, and I have asked kids to create a dance, Zumba dance, and showcase times tables with it. Now, submission can be a dance on a video, but all kids may not be able to do that. The submission can also be do this dance with your family, click some pictures, that's a submission mode. Submission mode can also be make a rough sketch of yourself. It can also be write a reflection of how did you go about doing this project and what happened, or come and show to the class how you created this dance and showcase to others, or create a PowerPoint with the photographs of you dancing. So keep a certain variety of submission mode, which either you can give to the kids choices that I want either a PPT, or I want a chart, or I want a video, or I want an audio, or you can give the choice to the kids. It's completely up to you. Always have a rubric and hand it to the kids. How will I assess you if your project is creating art using all the shapes? So I'm going to assess you by how good is your artwork. I'm going to assess you on how many shapes you have used. So rubric should have math. It should have the other cross-disciplinary subject, art form, and the rubric should also have time management into it. So this is what is competency-based project work or competency-based assignment. I'm looking at competency in math, I'm looking at competency in art, and I'm also looking at competency in attitude. Was this work on time? And believe me, those of us who have used, as a lot of the audience would know, when you give kids rubric like this, they focus. If they know this is for an hour, they focus so that the work finishes in an hour, because they can see that it makes a difference. They have a better chance of scoring in the project. It's a very sad way of using numbers to get the kids to work, but generally a descriptive rubric helps a lot in focusing the children. And it also reduces this continuous running to the teacher. Ma'am, what do I do? Ma'am, would you cut marks if I do this? So it's something which can be again put up in the class, sent it to them on email, given a printout, putting it up on the board. And finally, in any project, always give kids a little time to write their reflection. Journaling is what they are called. One of my students in grade 11, when I had given a project in probability, he wrote in the end, I thought math was a useless subject. Today, I've realized that math actually has some use, because I had given them a project nothing to do with art. It was to go and talk to insurance sales executives and understand how is premium created for any insurance, because that premium uses a mortality table, and that's completely based on probability. What is the probability that I will die at 80 or 90? They will assess that and decide the premium. So this was his reflection is amazing when it comes back. Or it's just, what did you like about the project? What is it that you didn't like? That's it. 2 questions minimum. Maybe there can be a third. How can I improve as a teacher in this project? So, or even if you say what was good about it, what was not good about it. Or as one of my colleagues started asking, what was wow about this project and what was muddy about this project? And the children get a chance to write reflection. For smaller kids, maybe reflection can be a smiley, okay, sad face. What do you think this project was for you? And the kids can draw and show. And that is a great feedback for the teacher on how this project went. Any comments or any thoughts here? Any questions on any of the steps? These are generally the 9 steps for a project sheet.
No questions, but
Comments?
Ma'am, there's a question from should we give rubrics in the starting?
Absolutely. Always give rubric in the starting. I think kids should know what it is they're going to be assessed on. It's like in the exam, the kids know 20% is from this topic, 30% from here, these many MCQs, these many descriptive questions. They should know what is it they're going to be assessed on. It helps to keep a very good discipline. For example, my students would come running and say, you've given chart. Should I use pink, blue, or orange? And I said, check the rubric. Does it say pink chart means more marks? They said, no. I said, okay, then it doesn't matter which chart do you use. So I think when you create a project sheet, you should give a rubric, especially when it is for homework, because then parents who are helping the kids can also see the rubric and say, okay, this has a score, but this doesn't matter. So let's say there is a score for dance, but your ma'am is not saying your dance should be really like a professional. She's just saying there should be some body movement into it. So it helps the kids to think, it helps to design it. If anyone doesn't agree, I'll be happy if you can comment and we'll learn. Anything else, Ankesh?
Ma'am, we have set of questions. Can we move to the question and answer?
Yeah, let me just see what's next. Yeah, so my art forms are over, but I would really like today that we have done 4 art forms: drama, dance, music, and visual art. And it's like, this is my favorite question at the end of every workshop or webinar. So a group of about 500 have given 1 hour. You're here for 1 hour. You should go back with something apart from the document. So if you can put in chat box, and I'll leave it to you, Ankesh, based on time, how many comments you read. Can you share with us any one new idea that you learned today? Any one new thing that you're going to practice? Like, you know, I'm going to go back and I'm going to try this with my kids. So that's the last task. And then it's all yours, Ankesh, for quick Q&A. Any one new thing that you learned today? That's like the best feedback any presenter gets, that all of us, our team, was able to give you one new idea.
Actually, the chat is flooded with comments, but what I can read through,
2-3.
What I can read through is dance, drama, integration pattern of dance and math, probability project, multiple ways to teach mathematics, traditional dance with maths, folk arts for mathematics, patterns through dance.
Great. It seems then everything was something new. Yeah, whoever liked probability integration, please try it out. Get permission from school and parents. So I asked the parents to introduce the children to their insurance agent. And then we brainstormed in the class first, how will you talk to the insurance agent and what all will you do? And the kids came back completely different human beings. Yeah, thanks, Ankesh. Is there any other? But it's great to see if everybody got something or the other.
Ma'am, there's a question how to make project sheets. What is rubric and instruction for parents is also included in the project?
Yes. These are the 9 steps. So rubric is the assessment criteria. So whenever you give any task to anyone, let's say even if you ask anyone to solve a problem, teachers, when they're correcting, we always have a criteria in our head, you know. This step is given 1 mark, this step 2 marks, this step final answer 1 mark. That's an assessment criteria. So when we give a project, we always need to give them, tell the kids, how are we going to assess it? So for example, if I ask the children, take 3 shapes, triangle, square, rectangle, and create a street design using it. And I am going to assess you on math, which is, have you used all types of triangles, squares, and rectangles? I'm going to assess you on art, how neat and tidy and nice looking your art is. I may also ask the art teacher. So I'll have, let's say it's a 15-mark project. I will have 5 marks for math, 5 marks for art, and 5 marks for timely submission. So your rubric should always have math, the other subject that you're integrating. Third is attitude development, and you've got a competency-based project. If you go online and just type in our Google Baba rubrics for math projects, you will get millions of hits, but a lot of them become very complex. So if you just remember assessment criteria for maths, the cross-disciplinary subject, and attitude, and the ratio can differ. I gave 5-5-5, but you can also have 7-3-2. You can also have 2 marks for time management, 3 for art, 5 for math. It's really up to you. I hope I was able to explain quickly.
There's one more follow-up question to this. From which class should we start project work for children? Is it any specific grade?
Kindergarten.
Yeah.
Kindergarten.
Okay.
It may be very simple in kindergarten. You are just doing numbers and use your fingers or take your hand and print on paper to show 10, 10, 10, 10 with different colors, but it can start from kindergarten and go up till 12th.
Ma'am, moving to the set of questions that were asked during the course of the session.
Yeah, that's the last. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. So, ma'am, the first question is whether it's possible to teach all concepts through dance, or are there exceptions to this?
I think that is completely depends on creativity of the teachers and creativity of the kids. It's not something like there has been any research that shows that this is possible or not, but it completely depends. Test it out. The thing to do with integration and cross-disciplinary work is teachers, please be a little bit like entrepreneurs. So what entrepreneurs do is they test it out. Let's test it and see, is it working, not working? And if it doesn't work, drop it. So it's something that will need to be tried out.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Ma'am, there's one more question. Drama is a very encouraging activity to teach maths.
Yeah.
But drama at the same time is very time consuming. Considering the time limit that we have in a normal classroom, that is 40 to 45 minutes, how do we encourage, or can we make the drama session more simple so that students are able to engage it better and complete it within the time limit?
Absolutely. That's actually, you've already answered. That's the teacher in the government school did. He made it very simple. It can be simply take a word problem and enact it while you're solving. So let's say Ram and Shyam went to the market and Shyam had bought this, Ram bought this, and then this happened, then this happened. The children can enact it and solve it, which can be, and they can be given a clear time buzzer, like you have 5 minutes to create a play out of it, and then you have 2 minutes to present it, and then convert it into a formative, convert it into something so that the kids get some benefit out of it. And maybe do it once in a while, because you have so many different strategies to try out in the class. But this kind of a long drama project is generally done once a year or once a semester.
Ma'am, the next question is basically on just a minute. Okay, so there in a class of around 50 students, there would be students with different learning capabilities. Will the time limit create pressure on a slow learner, or will it actually encourage?
Yeah, fantastic question. So let me give you an anecdote. In one of my classes, I gave them a very complicated story-based problem to solve. See, what happens is, in a group of, let's say, 6 kids, if you have a dance and math-based project, somebody will be good in math, somebody will be good in dance, somebody will be good in writing, reflection, or taking a video. So in a project, everybody does what they are best at. So this particular project, let me take an example of dance only. Let's say I asked, or any of the art form, I asked the kids to do a project and then present it using any of the art forms. There was one child in the group who was great at photography. So he did photography. He learned from the other children how math is done. The child good in math did math. The child who was good in English wrote the reflection paper. The child who was really good in art did the project submission, the designing and everything. And then there was a child who was bad in math, but an exceptional leader. He held the whole group together and he did the time management. So as a teacher, that is the time we step back and we observe the children, and then we observe the non-cognitive characteristics of all the children. So for me, it was a shock. Wow, this child who never submits any of my homeworks, he is such an amazing leader. He managed the group, he managed the time. So work is divided, and that is why teamwork is the skill, is the competency which is needed at that time. A great question. I'm glad you asked. And therefore, the kids who are slow learners, the child who was a leader, was not good in math, learned the math from others. The child who was good in math learned leadership from him. That's the beauty of collaborative learning. And teamwork is, as of today, one of the top skills in the workspace in the whole world. So project is a space where kids learn it. Thank you for asking this. Yeah, thanks.
So, ma'am, there is a request that can you give some ideas for Mathematics Day celebration that the teacher can use in a school environment?
So take all the 4 ideas, all the 4 art forms given today, and connect all the 4 to Indian culture. So get some dramatic form from India and integrate it, get Indian dances. And in the Mathematics Day, some children will present the dance by actually dancing. Then some children can present it by making collages and charts and decorations. Let's take music. Some children give a demonstration of here is Indian music and how math is associated with it. Some children can work again on pictures and put them up on the board. And same with visual arts. Dig into art, maybe India, maybe Asia, maybe world, and show that this is what NEP has talked about, cross-disciplinary projects in math. And here is our math day presenting it. And I think all grades can be kept busy for it.
So, ma'am, there's a follow-up questions on drama. At the end of every term, we implement a process called making learning visible. If we take topic of drama and mathematics, how can we go from simple to complex so that the child can show beyond what is taught only in for understanding?
Okay. So another fantastic question. Now, if you're using making learning visible in your classes, now I don't know how you're doing it, but let me give you just an idea. Suppose you ask the children to take any math topic and build a story around it themselves. So you start very simple, you take a math problem. It can even be like 2 + 2 = 4. Now build a story around it. So the story would be, let's say there were 2 birds on a tree, then 2 more came, and then now there are 4 birds. Now build more into that story. The birds are on a tree, the tree is in a garden, the garden is here. And then enact it, convert the story into a script, turn it into a drama. So you're starting with a very simple math problem, then you're adding a story to it, then you are turning it into a script, then you're adding drama to it, and then you present that drama and have some math questions at the end of it, which the audience has to answer. So that is the way it is possible. Another example is, which I had seen in a school, the kids did it, that they used, this is called the number machine, where they use it as fundamentals for function, that here is a machine and you throw 3 into it, the machine adds 2 to it and churns out 5. It can also be used for addition. So these kids, they became a machine. And then another child was putting numbers into it. So this is like a different kind of example. The first example take a math concept, write a story, and the kids write a story. So it has to be unique. They can research internet and all, but then they have to pull out a very unique story. Even if they use ChatGPT to write the story, they have to personalize it a bit. Then create a design on it. So you've got math, you're adding artistic skills, you're adding script writing, you're adding drama, and then you're adding to it creation of good math questions. So that's one example which I'm just giving without fully understanding how the school does it. But please let me know if this sounds like something which can be used for your school.
Thank you, ma'am. One more question is that how can a child be taught borrowing sum? If you can give some idea.
Borrowing sum, it really depends on the topic, but in my experience, any topic became interesting when they worked with their friends. So peer learning and collaborative learning, if you bring that into your classroom, any topic becomes interesting, where kids learn from each other, but always following it up with individual work so that you know whether they have learned or not. The other way is a question all of us have to ask, why is it that we have kids glued to their seats in their classes lesson after lesson? Can we bring a bit of movement in the class? And I'll just draw from here humane maths, movement. Any topic becomes interesting if you say to the kids, you can maybe sit the way you want to. And let's say I worked in a school which was highly inclusive. So there were a lot of special education needs kids in the class. And sometimes some of them wanted to remove their shoes and just sit. And I've seen schools in the villages in Villupuram district where kids come from such families that the only meal they get is the midday meal in school. And the classroom teachers are so creative. The kids run around, they push the furniture, they sit on the floor, they lie down. I think we could think of making classes interesting by using non-cognitive ways. These are non-cognitive ways, like these are emotional ways that, okay, you can sit with anybody, you can sit on the floor. If a little space is created in the classroom for kids to physically move, it helps. And the second way is if a space is created for kids to work with each other, then it gets interesting. Thank you for asking this, and thanks, Ankeshwar. Anything else?
I'm sorry, ma'am, I was on mute.
Yeah.
Ma'am, there's one last question. Is it compulsory for primary grades to make them read and write and solve the problem instead of engaging them more into activities for better learning?
I think both are needed, because activities engage them holistically. So they are thinking, the right brain is working, the left brain is working. But if they are not writing, if they are not solving problem, the mathematical abstraction doesn't happen. And if abstraction doesn't happen, the brain hasn't gripped the math. So you will hear stories like, when we do activities, the kids are able to do anything. But when I actually give them a sum, they're not able to do anything. So far in the world, that abstraction is needed. Otherwise, higher level math will be a problem for them. So ideally, that's why they say CPA approach is the best in primary, concrete, pictorial, abstract. So both are needed.
Thank you, ma'am. That was all. So, and thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful session, and thank you, participants, for joining in. I, on behalf of Cambridge, thank you all for attending this session. Hope you enjoyed the session as much as we enjoyed putting it together for you. Few questions that I would like to answer that was asked during the chat, in the chat box and the question and answer tab. The certificates to these sessions, this Maths Masterclass, will be awarded at the end of the entire series. The series ends on 22nd of June. So certificates will be awarded then. For those of you who are joining this particular webinar through our social media channel, there would be a follow-up mail that would be sent tomorrow. when the follow-up mail will have the feedback link. You can submit your feedbacks. Your certificates would be linked to the successful submission of your feedback. The next session that is scheduled is for 8th of June, same time. The topic is investigation in mathematics. You can make a tab on your calendar and join the session at the same time. We'll see you there. And in the meantime, if you want to have the entire review of the session that was displayed, this would be available on our YouTube channel as a recorded link. So you can view that again. Any which ways, the follow-up mail tomorrow will also have the recorded link of this particular session, so you can review it as per your convenience. The documents that are shared during the course of the session, in case you haven't made a note of it, there would be a follow-up mail which will have the entire details. And in case you have any suggestions or any comments to share, please share us on schools@cambridge.org. We'll be more than happy to assist them. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Ankesh, for your help throughout. And thanks for everyone who came, stayed, and used the chat box to the fullest extent.
Everyone.